have we been here before? Tasale is the only system here. It apparently is not, because you can also go to Lucerne over there. Or is it just those two? Or are there more? Yeah, the odd thing is that we only saw the Vorcha homeworld after we did some of those scans for Leviathan. And so does that mean that, technically speaking, you'd never see the Vorcha homeworld unless you have the Leviathan DLC, obviously, or at least in the original Mass Effect 3, nowadays in Legendary Edition, just once you've started Leviathan? Because that's kind of crazy that you can see the homeworld for almost every other basically every other primary species. And specifically, Vorcha one was hidden behind a DLC. First, we have Noxel over here, which is an ammonia methane ice giant. Several smaller energy corporations shut out of the big market in the Phaea Gateway system were attempting to develop a local helium-3 fuel mining infrastructure to service Ilium. Oh, wait, is this isn't where Ilium is? Because we, of course, were there a whole lot in Mass Effect 2. The leading investor was the human corporation Eldfell Ashland Energy. That does sound familiar. Their efforts were hampered by the extra-legal pressure the H3 cartels in the Phaea system brought to bear, from simple price undercuts to bureaucratic obstructions, denied permits and constant health and safety inspections. EAE abandoned the facilities before the Reaper invasion and collected no insurance settlements since the Reaper attack fell under Wars and Acts of God. Isn't that... Usually that is included in legal contracts, but... Oh, I guess not for insurance, though, that makes sense. However, skillful legal wrangling let their losses here leverage their rights to acquire any destroyed Reapers near their facilities, which may turn out to be highly profitable once the proverbial smoke clears. I'm not sure that's a good idea, though. Messing with Reapers, even if they're destroyed, that has caused some trouble in the past. In Mass Effect 2 specifically. And Mass Effect 3 as well, I suppose, if you want to count the destroyed Reaper around the Leviathan of Dis. That, I mean, do we trust that doesn't have similar effects? I don't know. Population of 6,700. It's not a huge number, but there are people here. Even on the remote edges of the galaxy. There is an asteroid belt, which we may want to take a loop around at some point since we're here for the moment. Oh, I see you. I see you, Tukria, trying to hide over here. You can't hide from me. Named for a legendary Asari archer from Thessia's Iron Age, Tukria is an asteroid large enough to qualify as a dwarf planet, or, as some would term it, a mesoplanet. Its gravity is sufficient to give it a spherical shape. Developed for nickel and iron mining, Tukria was abandoned before the Reapers reached the system. Its facilities are now dark and cold. Okay. Sure, we'll go over to Thale over here, and then we'll finish the asteroid belt circle. This is huge, or at least it's zoomed in so much. Thale is a typical hydrogen-helium gas giant. Its complex system of rings is unstable, dating back only a few million years. They are thought to be the shattered remains of a comet. Okay, let's finish our loop here. There may be other asteroids or dwarf planets hiding. Or not. Or not. Honalis, a fairly typical Venetian hothouse. Honalis seems almost tame compared to the violent volcanic outbursts of the inner world, Barrigale. In contrast, Honalis is nearly inert, with no active volcanoes or violent plate tectonics. The most dramatic event in the last million years was the foundering of the Asari aerostat research platform, Alviusik, in 2092, which fell after being holed by an improbably unlucky meteor. Most of the crew successfully reached escape capsules, but 6 were lost. The crushed wreck of the platform now lies on the Chryswite Plain in the southern hemisphere. With no population to speak of, Honalis has been ignored by the Reapers. Okay. We are hearing word of some Asari exploration, what have you. Oh! yes. That's because this is Ilium. Surprised the names didn't sound more familiar then. Lucerne sounds vaguely familiar, oddly enough. But, Aragale... Obviously, Ilium does. This was where Nosastra was, one of the hub areas in Mass Effect 2. So Ilium is a classic garden world, an entrepot, I suppose, between the Terminus systems and the Asari republics. To abet this trade, the normally stringent custom laws of Council space on product safety, prescribed materials, and sapient trafficking are relaxed, / non-existent. The world is hot and massive. Ground settlements is only possible at the higher polar latitudes. In more equatorial locations, the population is housed in arcology skyscrapers to escape the heat of the surface. Reaper forces met a surprising amount of resistance at Ilium. It is a big place, or at least a big population. Its leaders were paranoid about keeping their fortunes and were influential in both Terminus and Citadel space. They outfitted their large defense fleet with a high number of fission weapons, and the brief space battle used them on the Reaper fleet's troop transports rather than their near-impervious capital ships. As a result, the inevitable ground invasion has been slowed to a crawl as the Reapers manufacture more troops. Yeah, because the population, on the surface at least, is 85 million. I'm actually surprised it's not a little bit higher than that. I would have thought, given how significant it seemed in Mass Effect 2, that it would have been somewhere around 1 billion. And you have a few space stations with a little bit of population. Obviously, it's all pre-invasion, these numbers. That could very well be worth scanning, because we definitely spent a lot of time there in Mass Effect 2. Lastly, we have Barangale. And while not a classical hothouse world like Venus, Barangale is scarcely more hospitable. In addition to being closest to the star Tasale, its core contains many radioactives and other heavy metals, or heavy elements. These increase the heat of the planets and drive volcanism. Barangale's crust is too rigid for plate tectonics to function, and the planet will go through cycles in which the pressure builds to a massive supravolcanic eruption. That sounds fantastic. That sounds lovely. I'm sure you definitely want to be standing there when that happens. These spew ejecta over thousands of kilometers, leave Caldera 100 kilometers across, and spew enough molten material to repave entire continents. The last such event was 812,000 years ago. The current rate of outgassing from volcanic hotspots suggests another will occur within the next 10 millennia. Yeah, well, there's time. There's time, don't worry about it. Alright, so if we're looking to scan, I think we've got to scan Ilium, right? Our theory is that, yup, if you've been to a planet before, then in one of the previous Mass Effects, then that is probably going to give you something, scanning-wise. So let's see what we have here on Ilium. Liquid assets. Are we talking like liquid as in the state of matter, or are we talking liquid as in like cash? I'm guessing cash. I'm guessing we did not just acquire large quantities of water. Maybe, but probably not. Okay, then we have 50% assets recovered here, which means we just need a little bit more, and it's probably coming from something that's out in the middle of nowhere here. Because usually there's one asset on a planet and one asset in the middle of nowhere. But we are trying to listen for it. Did I go all the way in? I don't think I went all the way in. There we go. Very big. Very big indeed. I mean, there's a chance this second asset is on a planet somewhere. Not heard anything yet. Not unless I talked over it. But no. Nothing right now. I've yet to explore this topmost spot, but that's pretty much it. Fine, I guess. In the, oh, there it is. In the 2 to 3 o'clock area, but that's what we're looking for. It's fuel, which we didn't need that badly. Certainly doing fine now, and at this stage, honestly, that was probably worth holding on to and then just using at the very end once we had visited these other areas, because Tasale is now done, but Lucerne, which I am fairly certain we were also able to visit in Mass Effect 2. Sounds familiar to me. Let's see if any of the planets sound familiar. Zetic? A methane ammonia gas giant, Zetic is best known for the infamous Calthor camp. Established on the ice moons of Cessus, Calthor was a Blue Sun's hostile environment training facility run by a cadre, that's gotta be one of my favorite words, a cadre of former Batarian Special Intervention Unit operators. In 2168, a cluster-wide scandal broke out when it was revealed that the cadre, the mortality rate of recruits at the cadre sent to the camp, might be as high as 18%. The investigations by Asari authorities based on Ilium uncovered graves around the facility containing the remains of several hundred recruits of the cadre, dating back 2 decades. The camp was immediately closed and the remains sent back to their worlds of origin. In an inquest by the Blue Suns found the Batarians had used harsh training methods, but these were consistent with their own training to join the SIU. The Batarians were exonerated, though Calthor was shut down, and they were reassigned to other units. No criminal charges were filed against the Blue Suns or other members of the cadre. Council law did not extend to the Crescent Nebula, and the Asari on Ilium found the Blue Suns self-policing to have met their due diligence requirement for corporate justice. Cadre. Okay, actually, next planet would be here. Terith. That sounds vaguely familiar. Terith is broadly Earth-like, with a fatal flaw. It has a relatively high amount of chlorine in its atmosphere, the reason for the greenish haze that becomes apparent when looking at the horizon. I'm pretty sure we were here before, or at least we were in this system in Mass Effect 2 when we heard a description like this, because this does ring a bell. Chlorine has become a vital component in Terith's plant life. As a defense mechanism against native herbivores, many species evolved the ability to release clouds of toxic chlorine when disturbed. This gas is heavier than the atmospheric oxygen and tends to settle in low places. While avoidable, this has placed Terith near the bottom of lists for colonization. Reapers have paid little attention to Terith, concentrating on planets with high populations. Yeah, it's not colonized at all, despite having some redeeming qualities that chlorine holding people back from checking it out. Then we have Dorier. Dorier is a large hot world with a poisonous atmosphere of acidic nitrogen oxides. This is not a happy place, this system as a whole. While the planet is too close to Lucerne for this to condense and fall as rain, this makes the environment too hostile for forms of life more sophisticated than bacteria to evolve. So, are there bacteria though? I guess that's something if that is the case. Got this asteroid belt real quick. Check out this. Oh, yes, asteroid belt real quick, because here's Bayalt. Another very cool looking asteroid. Lucerne's heat pummels the Nirvana belt, a ring of protoplanetary material relatively close to the star. However, this heat is not enough to instigate true melting as occurs in the planet's formation, so carbonaceous asteroids such as Bayalt retain a primitive makeup. Bayalt has yet to be exploited, so the Reapers appear to have ignored it. Probes suggest that it is high in chondrites and triolite. Why, of course it is. Don't need to tell me. But you may need to tell me what those things are. So that does immediately come something that I might be interested in scanning. That is so well hidden in there. But first, let's see what the deal is here for Untanta. Untanta is remarkably close to Earth. Its orbital distance is similar, and while slightly larger, its reduced density yields similar mass, atmospheric pressure, and gravity. The similarities end, for Lucerne is a hot class F star emitting over 8 times the energy of Sol. Untanta is a parched wasteland, its water long since boiled away in its nitrogen carbon dioxide atmosphere. A handful of mining outposts dot the hellishly hot surface. The crews remain in underground bunkers, sending remotely controlled machines out at night to do surface work and load cargo for shipment. It does not appear the Reapers have struck here yet. It's just 230 people, so perhaps they think it's not really worth it, and yeah, 415 degrees Celsius, it's quite hot, so understandable that people would not be so interested in seeking that place out. Oh my goodness, this planet, first of all, is very well hidden. Second of all, is like practically the size of this star. John 10 is a fairly standard close orbiting Pegasid gas giant, orbiting the star Lucerne at high velocity and heated to temperatures of over 1,000 degrees. Analysis of its orbit has revealed a core of heavy elements with a mass double that of the planet's hydrogen-helium atmosphere. The Reapers appear to have ignored John 10, favoring targets that have some level of habitation, understandably. Okay, so when it comes to scanning, I think we could go 2 for 1 here. Is there anything that seemed particularly interesting? Well, yes. I do really want to scan this. See if we can get the 2 of you.
I found something.
Yes, see? Oh, and no Reaper attention here. Credits recovered. Okay. So, once again, with the other asteroid that was sort of more intricately shaped, we just immediately get the stuff as soon as we go there, because unfortunately you can't scan it, which would have been cool, because it is a cool shape. Okay, that's only 50% of the stuffs. And theoretically, if the Reapers are not going to show... Oh, never mind, they are going to show. I was going to say we can just scan to our heart's content. We cannot scan to our heart's content. They just take a really long time to get here. So let's not just scan everything, which was what my plan was going to be. No, we do need to be a little more thorough than that, a little more precise, targeted than that. So we'll just do a little swoop around. This is a big system, though. We'll do a swoop around and see if we really hear if there are any little bloops that pop up, and if so, we'll nab them. Of course, there's a non-zero chance that there is actually another asset on one of the planets, but that's unlikely. Probably unlikely. Ooh, that's disorienting. We're that close to the edge. Let's just do this down here. That is very disorienting. Okay, doesn't appear to be anything in that corner, so yeah, let's head over this way. This. Continue our search. Any luck? Because thus far, we haven't really had any. Oh, so there it is. That's what we're looking for. Man, Reapers barely care about this area at all. There's a little bit of fuel. It is still enough to recover what it is that we had to spend to get here. And is that the last of the areas here? Yeah, Crescent Nebula now 100% explored. In that case, let's head on back. And I think that may even have been all the exploration that we have left here as a whole. Perhaps? Calcin Rift, we know we're going to go there when we're looking for Dr. Garneau, so we'll probably hold off on that for now. Ninma, I know, has a 0, but that's where we had the Krogan team mission, and we tried scanning at the time, and it just didn't have anything. So I don't think that will have changed, but maybe there's a new area. of that system that would be worth investigating further. So it might be worth at some point making a point of checking out some of these systems that, at least initially, did not have anything in them, but might have, or the clusters that haven't had anything in them, but may, post-Leviathan, have gained a new system that actually does have something. So, either way, let's head back to the Citadel, because we have 1 or 2 quests we'd like to turn in here. Wait, let me just double check real quick what those quests are. I remember there's one quest that we want to turn in at the hospital. I wasn't sure. Got this? Way to detect or deactivate Cerberus turret left on the Citadel. Find the Cerberus automated turret schematics and bring them to him in the Presidium Commons. Usually, when we have the item to turn in a quest, we'll get that little notification as we're walking by the person that we turned it into. So we were hanging out by the Presidium Commons previously, and we probably walked right past this guy, but I don't know. I feel like we might have done that one. I need to double check on that stuff. Citadel Embassy, we didn't... Did we go to the embassies recently? I don't think we did, so there's a chance we have that one. This is the one that I think we have. Either the Turian poison or maybe chemical treatment. Oh, this was Array. This was the reactor, is where we got this one. Okay, now I remember. So yeah, we haven't turned either of those in, but we definitely have both of the items for that. So, Cerberus poison, tailored to Turians. Yep. That's hospital. That's also hospital, so we're definitely going to spend some time there. There is also a quest item that I believe we need to purchase from the Spectre terminal because we missed it when we were trying to rescue Admiral Corus. That was, I think, the original reason why we were planning on going back to the Citadel before we forgot about that. So, we also got this, yeah, from the trip into the Geth Consensus. So we've got lots of things to turn in. What am I talking about? We missed out on a ton of stuff there. So, or at least we have done a bunch of stuff that we can turn in. We just forgot to turn them in. So, okay. Okay. Have we gone to Dakuna? Possibly there are some areas of the Citadel that we just haven't generally spent as much time in because there aren't shops there. There just isn't as much going on these days, but perhaps going to places like Purgatory might be worth a quick stop just to make sure that we aren't forgetting about a quest that we can turn in. Okay, so let's head on in. And the normal Citadel this time.
You're cleared to dock, Normandy. Do you need ground transport?
Yes. So, we're thinking we definitely have something in the embassies. We definitely have some stuff in the hospital. We might have something at Purgatory. Why don't we go to the embassies before we forget?
I need to get to the embassies.
Yes, Commander.
Okay. So, I believe we have a quest item or two turn in here. We turned one into this guy a long time ago.
Thank you again, Earth Clan. Our military strength is minimal, but we are proud to help as we can.
Okay.
Refugee camps in the Citadel are straining existing resources, and the Council reports that food shortages may happen in the near future.
The Asari war strategist. We have some stuff for you. Excuse me? Sir. Good sir. How rude. How could you? Pin us in a corner like this? Just for you to take your call? The nerve of you. Oh, we're trapped. We may be trapped. We are no longer trapped. Get out of here.
Excuse me. I'm Commander Shepard. If you promise to be careful, I've got something for you.
A Reaper code fragment. Yes, I can use this to try to predict their strategic processes. We might be able to save a few worlds with this, Commander. Thank you.
Might just be able to save a few worlds is all. No big deal, really. Roughly speaking. I mean, giving them Reaper info is a pretty big deal, but there you have it.
No, I know what I said. Divert forces to the new coordinates. Trust me. We may not be able to stop the Reapers, but I think we can predict their movements now.
Nice.
No, I know what I said.
Okay.
Divert forces to
So again, that's the one that we got from the Geth Consensus when we were visiting there. Paying a little visit.
My wife was just sent back to active duty, and I'm about to get shipped out too. I was told you might be able to help me.
Of course.
Okay, we've heard that story, I think in full.
Yes? Did you know that?
No, don't need to speak to Bailey about that stuff just yet. We're gonna wait on that stuff. The thing I don't want to forget about, though, is that there is something here at the Spectre Terminal that we're going to need to, or actually, here, that we're going to need to purchase because we missed, I think it was this, the Geth target jamming tech. An Eclipse Covert Ops team is willing to sell jamming technology they recovered from a Geth station. Deploying these jamming units on the Presidium could hinder enemy forces in the case of another attack on the Citadel, thereby saving civilian lives. Because the lines cannot formally support Eclipse mercenary work, this technology should be treated as though it were discovered during action on Rannoch. Again, this is one that we missed when we were trying to rescue Admiral Course. It would have been in between the second and third guns, I think. So let's get it. Also, apparently at some point, we missed Sniper High Velocity Barrel, which... and Rosenkopf Reeves. Our recharge speed, it's not bad. But I think we're probably going to stick with health and shields for the most part. This, however, is probably the best mod for sniper rifles. So we'd like to upgrade this. It does mean we are pretty broke. Also, apparently we missed more very nice mods over here. We would not be able to afford both of these. So let's maybe first see if we can turn in some of those quests, hopefully get a little bit of money back, and then we might be able to do a better job of purchasing those things. Let's see, we have Commendation Captain Riley. Captain Riley, an N7 operative, has been nominated for a commendation for valor for her actions at Scion. Approval from a Spectre would fast-track the award process. Totally. That is, again, the captain that we encountered on on Scion, which is where the reactors were that the Reapers were attacking. Transfer authorization, Private Talavi. Private Talavi has requested a transfer to a unit actively engaged against Reaper hostiles. A note from Sergeant Olembe says that Private Talavi is an exceptional engineer, recommending her for duty on a team set to sabotage Reaper processing centers. Spectre authorization would fast-track this request. Sounds like that's the right thing to do. This is, I believe, the private that we have seen in the first docking area where the Normandy is, where she was the one speaking to her officer, saying how, well, she was stationed in a place where she was going to fight Cerberus, and she didn't want to do that because her brother actually recently joined Cerberus, and she is not sure if her brother will specifically be in that location, but she'd rather not run that risk. So that's why she was like, can I please fight Reapers instead? So sure, let's do it. Okay. That updates our Alliance 3rd Fleet. So hopefully in a good way. But maybe we'll take a look at our war assets later on and confirm or deny that. So now we have the stuffs to at least finish one more quest, which we can turn in somewhere. Because that was the... Target jamming technology. Presidium Commons. Okay. So that's the person, at least one of the people in Presidium Commons that we'd like to speak to. I'm going to go to the shooting range, because there's at least one weapon that I want to show you here that we recently picked up. Because there's some that we've looked at some of them, but never really gotten the chance to test them out. Did we go the arc pistol? I know we got it a while ago, but just in case. It's strong. It's really strong. You can either shoot it with no charge-up time. Oh, this is not the arc pistol. This is the arc pistol. Go for an enemy that is on full HP. So really high headshot multiplier. So if we do this, okay, you know, damage is not that amazing, but if we do this, damage much better. So if you do it without charging it up, it shoots like that. Solid damage, but not amazing, other than the big headshot multiplier. However, its big thing is that if you charge it up, it does huge damage, especially if you hit people in the head. So, I mean, you can actually charge up much faster than that because I was just holding it, but it's like that. And that technically wasn't fully charged. There you have it. That's just a complete one-shot of this guy, like, very close to one-shotting. At least this basic health enemy. I don't remember in terms of damage to other types of defenses, how good that is. But, I mean, in general, it hits really hard. Might have extra damage to shields, possible. But in general, hits really hard, especially if you hit them in the head, especially if you charge it up. If you don't charge it up, you're just going for these basic hits. Unless it's a headshot, I think it is... Damage is... not great. It is slightly slower than the Predator. And the damage might be the same, technically, without charging it. And so, if you aren't charging it up, then you might as well just use the Predator. The strength of this weapon is definitely the charging component. It does take some getting used to, but if you do get used to it, it's very good. One of the best pistols in the game, for sure. And I assume we... I mean, Talon was a while ago, so I assume we checked that out. Carnifex we picked up recently. I don't know if we've checked that out in here, but it is similar to the arc pistol. In some ways, it is just sort of like a worse arc pistol in that also solid damage. I think better damage. Once again, stop defaulting us to the Carnifex, or to the Hurricane. I'm trying to use the Carnifex. So, fires a little more slowly. Might even fire a little more slowly than the arc pistol without charging the arc pistol. But also, solid damage, good headshot multiplier. There you see not as much damage, not quite as much damage as a fully charged arc pistol shot to the head. I think armor damage, at least in Mass Effect 2, armor damage with this weapon was pretty solid, whereas shield damage potentially a little less so. Might be the same in Mass Effect 3. So that's the Carnifex. Then, what else? That's pistols. I think we're fine there. Let's go back to the Acolyte. We shown the Claymore? I mean, we've had friends use it, some teammates. But, so if you try shooting it from this range, good luck. I'm actually amazed that we hit that. Did we? We might have killed that target. If we zoom in, we will, yeah, still doing it. So the damage is humongous. The accuracy is pretty terrible. That's definitely going to be enough to take you out, but the armored enemy, I think that one-shot you as well. And you as well. It's just respawning, or the health is regenerating quickly enough as we're reloading that looks like it's still full, but yeah, huge damage, just low accuracy and slow. So that's the Claymore, which we started to put on some teammates. Crusader, have we looked at this? I'm not sure if we have. But as I've said before, one of my favorite shotguns, because it is crazy accurate. Damage, not going to be as good as the Claymore, but even if you don't zoom in like this, it is basically pinpoint accuracy. If you zoom in like this, technically I think the accuracy is pretty much the same, though it is a little bit easier to see. Like, with this little circle, or semi-series of these parentheses, it's going to shoot in the middle of that every time. There isn't really any spread. So, zooming in like this to aim doesn't actually make it more accurate, it just makes it a little bit easier to tell, like, where is the middle? Okay, I can kind of see it zooms in a little bit, and make it so that you're aiming a little more slowly. change your sensitivity and all that, so still potentially reasons to zoom in a little bit, but mostly just really nice range. We do the opposite of that. And move you way back there. You can pretty much use this as a sniper. And this is a shotgun, mind you. So this is like way longer than shotgun range would usually be. Speaking of snipers, though, perhaps the biggest weapon that we've picked up. Let's see if there's any other shotguns that I'm forgetting. We did get the Venom. Sure, I'll show this real quick, just because it is also an unusual one. Those of you curious? So let's... Oh, that's even farther still. This is the normal distance, I think, or at least the starting distance. So the Venom shotgun is another weapon that you can charge up. If you don't charge it up, it does this. It shoots a grenade that explodes either on impact or if you shoot it on the ground. Does it bounce around at all? I guess it doesn't bounce around. But if you do charge it, then it shoots a series of grenades. It's kind of hard to see from that angle because I was shooting at the ground to see if it would bounce if I fully charged it. But if you do charge it, it shoots a series of grenades. You have the initial hit, and then the sub-grenades kind of break off and land, or in that case, and explode once they land, which is capable of giving you lots of stagger and lots of damage. It doesn't do headshots because it is technically a projectile, so it doesn't matter if I hit it here or wherever. It's going to deal the same amount of damage. But and it can't pierce because it's a projectile, but really solid when you're getting rushed down by enemies and you just need them to get away from you. You stagger them like that and create some space, create some time, and then you roll or dodge away, and then you're doing much better. And because it charges up... Can you hold the charge? Oh, you could. Yeah. Not sure why it made me shoot that time, but yeah, so you can preemptively charge it up with some things. Changing the elevation, I think, is what it was. Going up on this is what forced me to shoot, I imagine. Yeah. Normally, you'd be able to run around like this and be ready to go as soon as someone pops up next to you. Ooh. That's a single shot. Single charge shot. It's pretty sweet. But it hits hard. So that's why the Venom shotgun is also quite nice. That's it in terms of shotguns. Might want to look at... Still very few SMGs. We'll stick with the Hurricane. The thing that I wanted to show you, though, is that we finally have what is actually a really good sniper rifle with the Javelin. Arguably the best in the game. Many, I think, would make the case for that being so. Whereas the Mantis, I mean, it's, as starting weapons go, solid damage, yes, but definitely more from the Javelin. It is very, very heavy, so for power-based builds, not so great. Really good, though, for, say, infiltrators that are cloaking and then sniping. Accuracy, also, extremely good, especially if we... I mean, throw some mods on this real quick, but just throw something... Well, actually, no, I'll show you unmodded. But personally, I'm not great at this. It takes some practice because, well, there's a little bit of a charge-up time. Also, you can do this. Which in multiplayer, may or may not be a thing. Oops. So it is a sniper, of course. It has an interesting scope, which is actually kind of hard to see what makes it so unique in this instance. Remove you way back, just to be all snipery. Can you go further back than that? You can. So it has the precision of any sniper, but it does have that delay where I want to shoot at this, you hear the little charge up. It's not until after that charge up goes off that it actually fires, and so for that reason it can be a little bit tricky at times to land big headshots and things like that, because your target might move in that quarter second, half second that it takes to actually land or fire that shot. So it takes some getting used to for that reason. However, the real strength of this weapon is that it has tons of built-in cover penetration and armor piercing. So you can basically just completely ignore cover, especially when you add mods on it to pierce additional cover. The other thing is that when it comes to that, it will give you kind of like almost like a heat vision type of look when you encounter enemies, and that's why it's not super informative here when we're just shooting at targets, so you can't really tell. But it will have enemies glowing in one color when they are behind too much cover for you to be able to pierce through that cover and hit them with a bullet. Or they'll glow in a different color if they are either just out in the open or in shallow enough cover that you can still hit them. So that's really helpful for if enemies are... you can actually see through walls and through cover to know, okay, you know, there's the enemy trying to sneak up on us, going through that other room over there. Well, I noticed that they're the right color for me to shoot them, so I can take them out from this room. You can also see through smoke for Cerberus and what have you when they're throwing all those smoke grenades and all that. So the combination of damage, armor, cover piercing, and the quality of life of being able to see through walls and through cover and knowing when you have enough penetration to actually land the hit, very, very nice. Downsides being that it's heavy, so it's not good for power-based builds, and that it has this little charge-up time before it actually fires, which can take some getting used to, especially if you're trying to be precise and get headshots on moving targets. So I think that's it in terms of stuff that I wanted to show you here. And the Javelin is so good, that is why I was saying earlier that although there are some nice weapons that are available to us to purchase, some nice snipers that are available for us to purchase here at the Spectre Terminal, it may not be necessary if you're going to get the Javelin. The thing is, though, that takes a while before the Javelin becomes available, whereas purchasing the Black Widow is an option immediately. It's just going to be very expensive early on.